Hey, good morning guys. Welcome to my August back garden tour. I'm just going to walk you around and show you how all my plants are doing. And then I am going to save my most favorite container for the end of the video. Now, starting with this beautiful begonia hanging basket. I did start this one a bit late in the season, but it has filled in so beautifully all the way around. And then the vinca vine is looking so healthy. And it's made its way all the way down to the floor. Coming down on the lower patio, the concrete wall urns, I cut these back about a month ago and they've come back so beautifully. Now they did end up having budworms, so I treated them with BT and they have rebounded and are looking so beautiful. Down here I have a Caladiums repens hanging basket that I'm just experimenting with. I potted the one that I was overwintering into the center of a hanging basket, and 4 months later you can see how nice and full it's grown, and it's also draping over the edges. Now it's got a nice compact form, and I think this is because it's in full sun. I have another hanging basket in the shade, and that one's got a much different form, more flowy, like a loose form, but I will show you that one later on in the garden tour. My succulents I ended up taking out of this concrete trough and potting them up into individual containers, and this just made it easier for me to move them under cover when we had so much rain in the spring. Here I've got all my carnivorous plants, and then I do have a new one in my collection. I'll put the name up on the screen. I love how it makes these little dewdrops on the ends of its hairs to entice the insects. It's so beautiful. Now it has given me 2 flowers, and I do want to put like a netting or something around this so I can capture all the seed. My Venus flytrap's looking so beautiful. I bought this on clearance at Lowe's a few years ago, and I've learned that they like having a dormant period and that you can refrigerate them over the winter, and that's what I've been doing. I usually take them in October, take them out of this peat and then pop them into moist sphagnum moss and then just refrigerate them. Now they were in the fridge for 6 months this last winter, and I thought there's no way these plants are going to look good, but they're all beautiful. This one I bought end of summer last year, and I did the same fridge treatment on this one, and it's looking beautiful. Here I have a ruby necklace hanging basket that's looking beautiful. The chenille plant cuttings that I showed you in my previous video, I potted them all into this hanging basket and they filled in so beautifully, and they're all blooming now. And the Dichondra Emerald Falls is doing a lot better now that I have them sitting in full sun. This little topiary I underplanted with Sedum Tokyo Sun. I love Sedum Tokyo Sun. Some of it's reverting back to dark green. I'm not sure why it does that. But one thing I have learned, if I'm going to use it in the same application next year, I need to fill the soil a bit higher because it's made like dips. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but it's nice and poofy up here, and then it kind of falls down in the center. Fire Sticks has sized up nicely. It's got a beautiful color. And then here I've just got a random cactus container. I think I've had it in here for way too long. I do need to separate these out and just give them a bit more space to grow. Now this container, I did cut the Superbena pink cashmere back quite hard about a month ago, and that's come back beautifully. And then down here I just have a random hanging basket that I'm experimenting with. I just popped some coleus tip cuttings in. I just want to see how it grows in a hanging basket. The other concrete wall urn is looking absolutely beautiful. Now I do love these supertunias and the superbenas, but next year I've got a fun idea. I want to plant something where I can see the concrete urn more. So not this mushroom shape. Look how beautiful the string of bananas is looking. It's grown so thick. And this one is trailing over the stones. It's so pretty. Here I've just got some string of pearls, propagations. This is the window box that I showed in previous videos. It's stooling out nicely. And then on the table, just more succulents. More string of pearls. I've actually got two hanging in the house that are so beautiful. In fact, let me show you. So I've got this one hanging in my south-facing window. It's got a lot of fresh growth. And then this one also in a south-facing window. It's also got a lot of length. Now coming around my side shade garden bed, the hostas are still looking really beautiful for this time of year. And then this container, I recently popped these begonias in here. I had impatiens in there that were looking terrible, so I pulled those out and replaced them with a 6-pack of the wax begonias. And I really like how it turned out. I also love that the string of hearts trailers are visible now. This hosta is still blooming, looking so beautiful. And then a quick update on the Alocasia dragon scale from one of my previous videos. I haven't seen the corms germinate, but every single plant that I popped in here is pushing a new leaf. So they like to be outside. I do want to collect a lot more corms over the winter to use in pots next spring. Now this beautiful berries and burgundy caladium, this is the one that I overwintered and then potted up early on in the spring. And then I had it growing as a house plant for quite a while. And then when I took it outside, the leaves started to crisp up and look terrible. So I cut it all the way back down to the base. And at that point, I thought I had ruined the plant. So I bought 10 more bulbs online. And those I've got on my back patio. I'll show you those near the end of the video. But it just goes to show you, if you chop your caladiums all the way back, they just bounce back beautifully. A stilby is finished blooming, but I do love how the spent blooms look, so I'm leaving those up for now. More blooming hostas. And then I do need to come in here and trim back the creeping jenny. It's starting to hang over the bricks again. Let me just swing you around slowly. Now the new side garden bed is starting to fill in nicely. It's been here for about 3 years and the perennials are sizing up nicely. You can see the snowball viburnum is almost at the top of the fence. The serendipity alliums have stooled out so nicely. Now the white wands Veronica, I didn't get around to cutting it back in the spring. It's so interesting how it just grows taller and taller, and then just the tips stay in bloom. The pollinators love the Veronica and the allium, so on a sunny day this whole area is buzzing. Pinky Winky hydrangea has put on some size this year. The vinca border I've really been enjoying this year. It's so low maintenance and it just blooms continuously. Now it isn't in a bloom cycle right now. You can see it's getting ready to push a bunch of blooms. So in about 2 weeks time it'll be a nice carpet of pink again. These are the vinca that I started from seed in the basement over winter. Something I've learned is you do have to pinch back the seedlings. If you don't, they grow long, and then like these haven't filled in the space properly. But I do love this bloom. It's so, so pretty. Now over here I've got a Cleome that reseeded itself. I love the two tones and all the little wispy bits all over this plant, and then of course the crazy amount of seed pods it makes. So I wouldn't mind if this seeded itself around this whole back area. I think it'll look so stunning. I might even save some of the seed and pop them around the rest of the garden. Back here is the salvia that I started from cuttings earlier on in the spring, looking beautiful. And then the limelight hydrangea is so beautiful this year. The cardinal roses have been cut back and they are getting ready to push another flush of blooms. Now I am struggling with my roses this year in terms of fungus maybe. There's a lot of yellowing leaves. Same with my Eden climbing roses. Let me just pan you around slowly. So this is what they are looking like right now. Not great. Now last year they managed to get to the top of the trellis, and then I had a really beautiful show in the spring. And then when I was cutting these spent blooms back, I noticed that some of the canes were discolored. And then one of the viewers mentioned cutting those canes out completely, which I did. And then subsequently I did a rose care drench on these Eden climbing roses. And I think another thing I did wrong was not giving them enough water. So I've been soaking these plants once a week, just giving them a really good drench. And I think that's making all the difference because I can see a lot of fresh growth coming back, especially here at the top. So I'm hoping to get it back up over the trellis before the fall sets in. The Dusty Miller that I started from seed over the winter is looking beautiful. And then these are the Verbena bonariensis propagations that I took over the winter as well. It's looking really beautiful and the honeybees absolutely love this Verbena. Now coming into the vegetable garden, this first bed I recently sowed a bunch of spinach seed and they've all germinated. So I'm looking forward to having some fall spinach. Here I've just got a random coleus container that I recently cut back. Now this container, these are the tip cuttings I took of the zinnias that I started from seed. I showed that in one of my previous videos, so they're starting to bloom and look beautiful. Just squeeze around the back here. This container, I recently planted some sugar snap peas and I can see two of them have germinated already. There's one back there. Here I've got a container of zinnias. My Brugmansia has gotten so big and beautiful and it's getting ready to put on another big flush of bloom. So I want to get hubs to help me move this out of the vegetable garden. First of all, it's too congested in here now and I'd love to have this in a more focal point. So we're going to be moving that here soon. Let me just watch for my cucumber. And then the sunflowers have reached their full size and are putting on blooms now. So I'm looking forward to seeing those, as well as the little dwarf ones getting ready to bloom here soon. The habanero pepper that I saved on the clearance rack is so beautiful and it's loaded with little peppers. Another zinnia container. These are so pretty. Got some yellow ones back there, and then this coral color is so pretty. Now this big plant in the middle of the vegetable garden. These are the pussy willows that I had bought some cuttings to decorate my spring pots with, and then 2 of them rooted, so I just popped them into this container and they've gotten so big. Look how thick the stem is. Now I think I need to get Velcro tape and get these branches up because it's getting difficult to navigate in this vegetable garden. My pepper pots, they are getting ready for their next flush. You can see all the little blooms. And then after I harvested my potatoes, I popped in some carrot seed into these grow bags. So I've got 2 bags and then 2 bags of beetroot. Now the ornamental kale, since covering it and treating it with BT, they are looking so much better. So I'm pleased with that. My giant hanging basket, it's still in full bloom, but I will be cutting it back here soon just to keep it healthy and to get another flush of blooms before the fall sets in. I love the bright pops of the geraniums. It's so beautiful. Now my tomatoes are still looking really good. I've got a lot that I could harvest, and then still a lot of green ones that need to color up. I recently removed a giant zucchini out of this area, and since then the jalapeno pepper has really bounced back. There's a lot of beautiful fruit on there and tons of blooms to come. The herb bed is looking really good, and then I did pop some cosmos seed in the center, and my first bloom is being destroyed by these horrible yellow bugs. They're all over the garden. These are more of the top cuts of the zinnias that I saved. Now they are a lot shorter than, I'll show you the other zinnias, the ones that I actually cut. They are absolutely beautiful, but it's nice to have these shorter blooms just along the edges of the beds. Now these salvias are also cuttings that I had made in the spring off of that one plant. Coming around to this container, it's also just flushed back out after a cut back. Looking very beautiful. Then these strawberries, I've had a few casualties. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 of them didn't make it. I do have a lot of runners that I can just fill into the holes. The strawberry hanging basket has flushed out beautifully. I'm interested to see how this does next year. These zinnias that I recently cut back in one of my videos have come back so beautifully. They've all filled in all the gaps. It's so pretty. And then look how big some of these flower heads are. Such pretty colors. I really love this coral one. And this red one is so beautiful. Down here is another container that's just flushed back out. Coming out of the vegetable garden, I've just got a random burro's tail. I put it here short term. I intended on moving it under a tree somewhere, but it stayed here in the full sun and it's looking so beautiful. My banana plant, it's gotten so big, and I love the way it looks with the sun shining through the leaves. So pretty. The string of bananas, this is the OG plant. I've had this for so many years. Looking beautiful. The back wall planters, they've also flushed out again. I love the Supertunia persimmon. These colors are so pretty. Now this fuchsia hanging basket, I was recently at Menards and they had marked them down to $2 a piece. So I snatched up 2 of them and then I cut them back quite hard. And this one has flushed out so beautifully. Look at all the buds that it's making. So pretty. Now this is the other Caladiums repens hanging basket I spoke about earlier. You can see how this one has a more loose form. It's not as compact. I actually prefer the way this one looks. This is the second hanging basket that I got at Menards for $2. This one was in full bloom when I bought it, so when I cut it back, it's actually reverted back to fresh leaves. So this one will give me a later flush of blooms. So back here I've just got 2 random containers. This is sort of my compost area, and I never did get around to putting these on display anywhere. I didn't end up moving the little begonias, and I haven't taken cuttings of my fuchsias yet, but I do intend on taking them before the fall, just so that I can try and grow some spring ready hanging baskets. I'm going to give that a try this year. Now under this tree, I recently moved my purple bell vine back here. I had it growing on my back patio, sort of along the structure, and I don't know if it's because I had too many plants in one hanging basket, but they just ended up looking terrible. So I moved them down here and I'm just going to enjoy them under this tree. A bit tangled. There we go. Just another one of the burrows tail babies from last year. This one rotted out at the top. I don't know if I'd overwatered it, but I just reset this one about 2 months ago, so it's looking a lot better. This is my big, beautiful burrows tail that I've had for many years. And then this mistletoe cactus has gotten so big. Whoops. It's trailing quite long, and it's super healthy. Here I've got a string of fish hooks. And then I did bring one of my Hoya linearises outside just to see what it does. And it's putting on so much fresh growth. You can see all the white tips of the fresh growth all the way down the stem. It's actually put on quite a lot of length. Now up here I've got my rat's tail cactus. Let me get that down and show you how cute it is. It's got a lot of pups and it's put on so much length. So beautiful. Let me just hang this one back up here. And then my monkey tail cactuses. I need 2 hands to get them out of here. So you can see it's put on quite a bit of length and it's starting to grow some hair. If you look at the tips, let me just step back a bit, you can see the fresh growth from being outside. And then it has given me a pup. Look how cute it is. And then this is the golden one. I think it's a monkey's tail, I could be wrong, but I love this one. Look how many pups it's pushed since being outside. And then you can see the growth that it's put on since being outside. That's a good example right there. So beautiful. Now under this tree, my cotyledon pendants just fell down, and it was laying face down, so there's a lot of damage. So I'm going to be resetting this planter. I'll just show that in a video soon, but I am going to move away from all these plastic hangers. They're the worst. Here I've got a string of tears that's got so many blooms. They're all in a bloom cycle. It looks so wild and beautiful. I love that. And then the string of watermelons, it's doing its second flush of blooms. Now it's just come out of a bloom cycle. You can see all the spent blooms everywhere. So I do want to bring this one inside. Is that a mealy? Oh no. I think it is. Yep. Okay. So I need to treat this plant. And then there is a bit of damage, like this one here doesn't look good. Let me just pull that off. Now this stem is still healthy. I can see on the end, I think it just snapped off in the wind, and then this piece has started to dry down. But I'm just going to pop that into some sphagnum moss and reroot it. I'm sure some of this is seed. So I'm just going to plant that and see what happens. Now coming around the side shade garden bed, the begonia hanging basket has grown so big. So this is what it looked like when I planted it up early in May. And you can see how big and beautiful it's grown. Now I do love the yellow blooms on here, but I find it doesn't have enough blooms. It's too green for my liking. I definitely preferred the angel wing begonia, the pink one I had in here last year. This one is a bit more fragile. I think the next windstorm we get, these long limbs will be snapping off. Now I do love this begonia, but I won't be using it as a standalone plant again. The frog in the blender caladium, it's still looking so beautiful. It doesn't even crisp up. I've probably cut a handful of leaves off of this plant. I think I've just picked a really good location for this caladium. Let me give you a close-up of these leaves. That one's also so pretty. This container I put together a couple of months ago, and this spotted caladium I thought was going to be on the shorter side. Turns out it's quite tall, so I should have probably put that in the center. But I do love these colors together, especially these big silver leaves. Look how beautiful they are. My bobo hydrangea is blooming. It's got nice big panicles this year. Now the foliage does look a little bit yellow, so I am going to be treating it with some iron this weekend just to try and get that to green up. Now my donkey's tail window box is being swallowed up by the caladium. So this weekend I want to see if Hubs can help me hang it back up here. I tried it in the spring and it just looked out of place because none of the plants around it had grown in yet. But I'm going to move it this weekend and see if it'll look better. The black elephant ear container. So in the spring I had planted one black elephant ear bulb, and then I underplanted it with the caladiums that I overwintered, and then I had some Calissia repens propagations that I just dotted around the edge, and 4 months later it's grown in so beautifully. It's very low maintenance. All I do is fertilize once a week and just clip off the elephant ears that die. Now this does look a bit like a bowl, like it's not trailing really, but I kind of like it. It's so unique. The ajuga border is looking beautiful this year. Last year I drowned it out when I was trying to repair my lawn, but this year it's looking so beautiful. I love the coloring on this one. the lamb's ear looks beautiful. And then this is the other frog in the blender caladium. Back there, I've just got another donkey's tail baby. The hosta is still looking good for this time of year. Some of the leaves are showing a bit of yellowing, but overall it's looking pretty good. And then here I've just got some string of turtle hanging baskets. Now the two containers flanking my back garden gate, when I planted these up in the spring, I just used the same caladiums that I had in here last year. I just overwinter those, and then I do propagate little cups of string of pearls to use as trailers. So I planted them up early May, and this is what they looked like. And then they've grown in so beautifully. The pearls are a bit behind this year, but they have filled in and started trailing. Oh, there's a dead leaf. Now this variegated decidia, I've had this for many years. It's very slow growing. If you give it the right amount of sunshine, these white bits turn pink, and it's so beautiful. So I ended up hanging it here where this donkey's tail's hanging right now, and it ended up burning. The whole top was completely burnt. So I ended up cleaning the top up, clipping all the dead branches off, and then I just clipped some of the fresh growth at the base and then repropagated it into the top. So it's looking a whole lot better. It's such a pretty plant. So on this shelf, I've just got a whole bunch of random plants. Let me start with this guy. It's one of these cute little head planters. And I just popped some burrow's tail into his head last year, and it's looking quite nice now. So sweet. So up here I've just got some random succulents. I've got a beautiful hoya. Oh, it's got a peduncle. I think this one's going to bloom for me. See there? Well, that's fun. So this is my frizzle sizzle. I bought this last year. So here you can see how tiny and cute and fresh it was. And I ended up bringing it in for the winter. It bloomed. And then all the foliage lost its curl. It just had straight foliage. And then I read online that it would never recurl. But this is what she looks like. I think the curl has come back. And it's ended up splitting into two. So I've got two plants now. And it looks like this one on the left, the new one, is about to bloom. You can see it's making a whole bunch of leaves there in the center. And I do need to repot this. It's quite root bound, but I do leave this plant pretty dry. Let me just use my leg to help me out. There we go. And the original plant on the right, it did curl up again. Not as curly as when I got it, but it's very interesting. The rest of the shelves, I've just got some Thanksgiving cactuses and a bit of a pothos here and there. And then I've got a string of needles just hanging out here on the side of the shelf. Now this container I wasn't sure about when I potted it up. I had just planted all the leftover propagations that I had made over the winter in here. But it's turned out so beautiful. I love all the different foliages together. And I also love using house plants. I just clip them off during the winter and then root them in water. And then I just like to pop them into my shade containers as spillers. The begonia that's struggling is this pink one. And unfortunately, this is the one I chose to replace the Supertunia in my wire vine Topiary. So that's not looking great, but I'll show you that here in a minute. This Mojito calocasia, I love the markings on the leaf. It's so beautiful. The mama's donkey's tail is looking so beautiful. And then coming over on this side, I also cut this pot back a few weeks ago and it's come back beautifully. I do have those cucumber beetles. I think that's what they're called. They're yellow and black. They're either stripy or spotty, but they also love to chew the petunias. This is my whipcord topiary. It's looking so pretty. And then I underplanted that with Burrows tails cuttings. This is in the spring when I planted all the babies in. And then 4 months later, they're looking so healthy and plump and beautiful. So this is what the wire vine topiary is looking like right now. I think it actually turned out better than I had pictured it. I had taken cuttings of this wire vine last year in the fall, overwintered them, and then I just jimmy rigged an old tomato cage to get a bigger circle. And so initially I was going to underplant it with Supertunia Bordeaux, and I ended up planting the Supertunia Mini Vista plum veined, I think, and that too was a little bit too vigorous. And then I took out the Supertunia and popped these begonia cuttings in, but this is a struggly begonia, so it wasn't a good choice. But I think in the fall I might just pop these out and maybe put a little mum in the center or something. And then I just love how the creeping Jenny trails. Let me show you on the other side as well. It's so pretty. My jellyfish hanging basket has put on a lot of length. Now the other day I had noticed ants crawling all along the structure and up on this hook, and I got up on a ladder and there were aphids in all these bloom clusters. So I waited until it was nighttime and then I mixed up some Captain Jack's dead bug and gave it a good old dosing, and it looks like they're gone, so we'll see. I love the Dichondra silverfall. It's one of my absolute favorites. Down here I have 2 containers with just succulents and cactuses. I love this variegated, is it a crassula? I never know the name of my succulents. Now this topiary, I've just got a boxwood topiary, and I underplanted that with Sedum Tokyo Sun. So here you can see where I potted them up in the spring. They were just propagations that I took over the winter. And then 4 months later, it's a nice carpet of sedum. It's like a big old mushroom. I also love the single color in the base of the containers. It gives the eye a place to rest. Now coming up on my back porch, the berries and burgundy caladium I spoke about earlier. This is the new one. I thought I had lost the one that I had chopped back, so I ordered 10 bulbs online and planted them all in this little pot, and it's just a big old beautiful display of leaves. Now in the beginning of the video I mentioned saving my favorite container for last, and this is the one that has my heart this year. It's so incredibly beautiful. This is the upright elephant ear from last year. I just overwintered the bulb. And these are the caladiums that I had in my front porch pots last year. They were a lot smaller in the full sun, but in the shade they are incredible. I have had to stake up some of these elephant ear leaves because they are super heavy. I've got the stake in here and I just use this Velcro tape. I've got another one here. And then I have Velcroed those 2 leaves together. Now I do have a chenille plant as the trailer, but as these elephant ear leaves got bigger, they started causing an umbrella effect. And the chenille plant is in a lot of shade now, so it's not blooming as vigorously, and they do prefer full sun. but it still looks absolutely beautiful. I really love this combination, and I'm going to be hard pressed to find a better one for next year. But I am dreaming up some fun ideas. Now, if you guys have stuck around this long, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.